Welcome to the Next Level Faith podcast. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, best-selling author and life coach for ambitious women of faith. Join me each week to learn more about the strategies, tools, and mindset needed to arise from the overwhelm and create a joyful life you love. To learn how you can work with me further, grab your copy of my best-selling book, Arise and Shine, or check out how you can get your ticket to my next Awake conference or retreat. Head over to juliannekirkland.com. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode, because the best version of you begins on your next level of faith.
Hey, welcome back to the Next Level Faith podcast. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. You're in for such a treat today. I'm so excited because the one who's behind the scenes that you don't ever really get to see unless you come to one of the Awake retreats or you're at the Awake event, she is like an extension of me. Not really, because she's her own person, but like I love her so much, like I just want to attach her to part of my body, even though she's in a different country right now. It's fine. Miss Ellie, welcome.
Hello. Hi. It's so cool to be on your podcast.
Instead of just editing them.
Yeah, well, I love doing that too. Like every week I'm listening. I'm like, oh, that's so good. Yes. I love that. But it's cool to be here too. So thank you for sharing your podcast with me today. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited you are here. So, okay, well, let's share. Where are you?
I'm in Paris right now.
Somebody.
Well, just outside of Paris, if you know the area, Rosny-de-Bois. And I'm learning the language bit by bit. Something I love about the people here is that they know that you speak English, but they will respond in French anyway. Most of them don't really speak a lot of English. There are a few who recognize because I look like an American. They're like, oh, hello, how are you? And I'm like, yeah. But the people here have been so kind, and I'm just got here, so haven't seen the Eiffel Tower yet, but it's in the plans, and I'm just so thankful to be on this journey. I've been traveling through Europe because I run my own business and I can live anywhere. So this year I said, why not? You know?
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that. Talk about this new evolvement of the mobile creative and what prompted you to say yes to what God was calling you into in this new season.
Yeah. So last year I started getting a few opportunities to travel within the US for my work. And some of them are to the Awake event that Julianne has, which is amazing.
So
I should bring my microphone while I whisper. It's amazing.
You're like, I'm whispering away from the mic. I got to go back to the mic.
You should go. Yeah. And then there were a few other things that I was working at, doing some behind the scenes stuff, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And I realized that I really love traveling for work. I'd formerly been based at a brick and mortar production studio that I ran, and I've been shifting more into doing marketing and live events and supporting people's businesses just from behind the scenes, just from my computer. So when I started traveling, it kind of like sparked the light bulb in my head. Like I've always wanted to travel. Why don't I actually just do this? And as I prayed about it, because I had a different business name at the time, the Lord started speaking to me about not just how I can support other people's businesses as I would say like virtual assisting and marketing and content editing is really what I do, but also how I can have this beautiful life where I show people God's goodness and experience God's goodness from any part of the world. So I renamed it the Mobile Creative last year before I was mobile. And then I closed my studio and I moved to Colorado. That was the next move. And I felt the Lord calling me there. And I just did it on faith. I went and looked for apartments for a week. I didn't find anything. And then when I got back, was praying again and found a beautiful apartment. They rented it to me without meeting me. It was just like open door after open door. And as I went, I saw God's provision and his goodness. And then was invited by a friend of mine who's an incredible missionary and minister to go to Kenya on a missions trip with her long term. So I said, okay, I'm going to pray about it. And God said, yeah, this is good. This is what you need to be doing. You're the mobile creative. You can go anywhere and you can be involved in things. Right. And I mean, I think also the gift of being able to do things outside of work, because I was going to help them build their church.
Yeah.
And I had closed my lease. I was ready to go. I sold all my furniture and I got a phone call because I was going to be there for like 5 months. I got a phone call that something wild happened over in Kenya. The leader was not safe to be around anymore. And I had no plan. So it was a 24-hour pivot because I had to leave the next day. And I made some calls and I rebooked some tickets and started my world adventure in January.
Wow. And so where is it taking you so far?
So far, well, I started in Hawaii, and that was cool. I'd never been and I wanted to go and found a deal. And then I went to Greece. I lived in Athens for a month and had a great time, honestly, a great time there. The people there are beautiful. It was the off season, so it wasn't too busy. Saw all the historical sites, ate so much good food. I will say, I think actually this merits like a whole travel video just on its own. But people in Europe are obsessed with balsamic vinegar and olive oil. There's no salad dressing. There's no steak sauce. There's no like any sauce. It's olive oil and balsamic. And that's all you get. So that's been a food adjustment.
I love both of those. But yeah, I'd be like, well, I need some barbecue sauce or some ranch.
Exactly. Yeah, they put balsamic in their barbecue sauce. So, and in their ketchup. So if you like them a lot, you'll have a blast. I don't mind them at all, but sometimes, like you said, you just want some ranch.
Right.
And the closest you'll get is mayo and maybe a Caesar dressing if you're lucky. So that was
also made with olive oil.
Yeah. But delicious food.
Yeah.
And then I went to Rome for a short time and had some adventure. They have huge fountains there. The fountains in Rome are like, how did you sculpt a person who looks more like a person than me that's 50 feet tall that also spews water out of their mouth? There's something like gorgeous, gorgeous. And now I'm in Paris. So who knows what'll be next.
Wow. And what has this journey been like for you personally? Like what?
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I'm just sitting here like going through that and being like, oh, so often we can hear somebody else's story like this, right? And be like, I could never, or I will if blank, blank, and blank, and blank can line up. And like, you were a planner. So like, what has that adjustment been like for you to be like, okay, 8-foot high plan notebook, you're going to decide. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, well, it's so interesting because I definitely have been a planner all my life. Like I will run the spreadsheets. I will do a 6-month plan. I will have everything mapped out and know the exact budget and stay in the budget. And that's not what God called me to in this season. He said, he called me to a yes, and that he would handle everything else. So I have been finding that I deal with a lot of anxiety when I should be, honestly, I'm also learning that if you have anxiety, you should have faith. So where I'm anxious, it's actually a command in the Bible, like, do not worry, do not fear. It's like a sin to worry, actually, because God commands us not to. So how do I daily lay down my anxiety and my burdens and sometimes not knowing what I'm going to do the very next day? Because when you're traveling internationally, things happen. So there have been moments where I said, okay, I've got $8 in my bank account. And I have to find somewhere to stay tomorrow because this Airbnb booking is up or whatever. I don't know people in these countries. I lived a very sheltered life. I did not have much life experience outside of being able to work. And this has been a totally different thing. But what I found is that God always provides. And often when I make plans, they either just don't happen at all or they don't work.
Right. You're like, wait a second.
Making plans works really well when all you do is sit behind your computer, which is, again, was the large part of my adult existence. But it doesn't work so well when you're surrounded by thousands of other people in a world that are unpredictable. I don't know what they're going to do. And that could be for better or for worse. Someone could walk up to me and say, I want to buy you dinner, and not in a creepy way. And I could say yes. Or they could say, hey, give me all of your money. I don't know what they're going to do, but Jesus does. Yeah. So not having a plan sometimes is better, I think, even though we still have to have our framework, right? Like I'm not planning to run my business. I'm still running my business. I know I'm going to do that. I know that I'm going to promote things. I know I'm going to talk to people or whatever, but planning down to the minute or every last detail of everything is just not congruent for me with enjoying my life anymore. Like you can have a plan. Like Julianne, if I took all of your children to Disneyland, I would have a plan. But if something
Otherwise,
came
you would
up,
have a panic attack.
yeah, for sure. But if
But it's
something
also
came
like
up,
their safety as well, you
yeah,
know, and
yeah,
that
for sure.
I think when you start involving more and more people, you do have to be at least aware of more and more possibilities.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also like that's something God will clue you in, but it's good to have a plan and it's good to change the plan if you need to. So I think more than anything, even just the art of pivoting, like if I say, hey, I'm going to go, like we were going to go to the Parthenon and see all of the things. What we didn't know is that it's like a 10-mile hike uphill for a lot of those things.
So fun.
And that wasn't working. After
Right.
the first hike, we were like, I think we're good and we are ready for dinner.
Yeah.
So making those pivots is important too. And not holding rigidly to anything has been a huge lesson for me.
That's so true. And, I experienced that with the closing of the salon. I mean, God was like, okay, literally shutting the door, like it's going to be legal during the pandemic to open your salon company doors. So how about now? You going to release it now?
Right.
But otherwise I was like, no, I'm just going to like grit and nail and bear it and, just do everything in my carnality. And he was like, but do you see why that wasn't working? Yeah. But at the time I didn't see, now I do, but I didn't then.
And I think that's the thing that I'm learning about myself is that I will force a plan and my own will when it's just it's not the thing anymore. And I was doing that with my brick and mortar as well for a while. It's like, this clearly isn't what God has for me anymore.
Right.
But I didn't want to let go of it. I was determined to make it work. And I think you might agree, it's a lot more beautiful and freeing to just do what Jesus is saying is your next rather than looking behind.
Yeah. And I mean, to that point, I think so often we're confused because we're like, wait, no, but God led me here. So obviously this is where I need to be. And he's like, oh, yes, I led you here and you've learned the things that I wanted you to learn now. Now it's time to go somewhere else. And we're like, oh, like that's the part we miss.
Yes. And God's so gracious to us because he could even lead us somewhere just so we can see 5 minutes away, this is actually where I'm going, or like, hey, just like we do landmarks when we're trying to get places, he might tell me to go to the McDonald's, but just so I can see the person across the street who needs prayer, or so that I can see the lovely Italian restaurant that I'd rather eat at. Who knows why he told me to go to McDonald's? But if I'm forcing my own plan and understanding, I would go in and eat some chicken nuggets.
Right.
Do I want the chicken nuggets or do I want what God's actually calling me to?
Right. And that's so important too, because I think, we start to question if we're hearing him correctly.
Yeah.
And I have found, especially in this past year, just starting in 2023, how much better I hear him now because I am staying connected. I'm staying focused on his word and making sure that is the first thing that gets in every single morning. And it's like, when you seek him first, he will provide everything else. Like, that's not just like a pretty phrase.
Right. Facts. And it's easy to get caught up in whatever's happening. And I mean, you could have all of your children beat you to waking up in the morning. And then how do you seek him first? Yeah. And so definitely, I think it's really can be difficult to keep that focus when you have a hectic life or you have a lot of things happening around you, but it makes all the difference. So I think like the tooth and nail commitment that we need to have is just to making sure we're in the word and seeking the Lord first.
Oh, that's so true. Like, oh, write that down, people. Like, if you're just going to grin and bear it for anything, let it be for Jesus.
Yes, exactly. I have a friend who reminds me of that all the time. Like, just as committed as you were to those terrible situations, or I've had some bad relationships, as you were to those terrible relationships, be committed to Jesus.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, we sit here, I love watching The Chosen. That's like, such a good show. And I love how real the disciples are. And you forget, it's easy to forget just how human they were. They doubted, they had fear, they had anxiety, they had confusion, they experienced everything that we experienced. And Jesus is so loving and so kind. And, we think, man, well, yeah, it would be a lot easier if Jesus was right there and I could touch him. No, but that's
apparently not.
Yeah, because he even said, I have to go so that the counselor can come. Like, he knew we needed the Holy Spirit inside of us.
Yeah. The Holy Spirit is our helper. And when I need help, I have to ask the helper, right? Everyone else can help us too, but no one helps us better than the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And I think it's easy to discount him because he's not right here in front of us, but he's ever present and within us. Yeah. So,
and especially as our guide, God's already gone before us, he's already there. And so why wouldn't we take the direction of the one who's already walked the path and is already like, hey, no, I'm telling you, come here. This is the path you need to walk down. But to that point as well, we're having a fun time talking about it, but there is that challenge when you've lived in a way or you are surrounded in a situation that's getting in, and it does cause you to think more in your carnality than in the spirit. And again, the point to stress here is just God's grace, right? And that it's okay. You don't get like a one chance. He's there, and he's going to allow you to try again. And it's not to mock you and be like, I knew you couldn't do it. That's not how he works. It's that gentle guy. You got it. Come on, take that next step. Come on, you got it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was just sharing with Julianne before the podcast, I made a mistake with some of my travel plans, and it put me in a really dangerous situation. And I was hurt in that situation, like physically attacked, but I made it out with my full health, besides, maybe 15 new bruises and all of my belongings. And that's like the grace of God, because even though I made a mistake, he didn't say, oh, well, guess you have to figure this one out, Ellie.
You're on your own.
He was still with us. And even in the midst of that situation, someone who tried to help said, there's this really big man with you. That's why I'm helping you. And it was just me and my very petite friend, who's also a woman. But we believe they saw an angel, or maybe the presence of God behind us, because in that very dangerous situation, God was very present, and he was making himself known in a way that needed to be for our safety.
That's cool.
And it just reminds me that he really does walk with us side by side all the time.
That's so cool. So as being the mobile creative, what's happening in your business now? What are you bringing forth in all this new revelation? Because this is what I know to be true. When what we're in our exterior, right? God's also using that to build out new things in us, right? And so what are you using from the outside experience back to the inside experience to give back out the outside experience?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So the Lord has been leading me to create some resources for newer entrepreneurs, people who are saying that big yes to God and are still kind of doing it on their own, or solopreneurs who have been killing it for years. We sometimes just have areas that we need support in.
Yeah.
So one of my new things that I'm excited about, I've dreamed about it for a few years, is a live cohort that I put together. It's part online course where I'm doing live trainings, part networking conversation, and part strategy. So it's called the Launch Your Dream Online cohort. And it has all of my systems for marketing your business online, like email, optimizing your website for being searchable so people actually find you, and then making sales, social media marketing tips, and even some sales tips, like how to sell in the DMs, even if you don't have a website. And it's creating these repeatable processes for entrepreneurs so they can learn them. We can work on them together for the time that we have in the cohort, and then they can go and repeat it or adjust it as they need to for this business. And then if you're like any other entrepreneur, I know you're going to start another business at some point in your life. So for the next business,
because that's just what we do.
It's true. So I'm really excited about it because I love resourcing people who are passionate about their businesses. And I'm offering even like people who register, because registration's open right now. I'm still enrolling people. The first 5 people who register are getting 2 additional one-to-one sessions with me where we do some coaching and problem solving together. Because I've helped over 39 businesses launch. I counted them, and I've helped them grow online and thrive and do what they're called to do. And I'm just really, really excited to bring that to other people. So that's my biggest yay thing. I've got some other things going on, like launching the virtual assisting services through my business officially, and offering that to support your marketing efforts, your business ops, all that stuff. But my heart right now is just for business owners. Like, people need a good team. And if they don't have one, they need at least one good right hand.
Yeah.
So that's where I hope I can come in for people. Yeah.
And you're such a good right hand.
Thanks, Julianne. I love doing it for you, for sure. It's been a blast.
So
Julianne was one of my first virtual assisting clients, and it's grown into this great working relationship. And I consider her a friend as well. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. That's what I'm like. You're like you're attached, but you're not. You're friends.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to come back to your neck of the woods soon.
Absolutely. But I don't want to, take you away from your adventures.
European
adventure.
Jesus is
like, go see Julianne, then yet you say yes.
Yeah, I'm sure he will at some point.
You say yes to that. Okay, so I have a naive question. I don't understand what a cohort is.
Oh, that's such a good question. It's a fancy word. It's just a group of people. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. It's just a group of people who are learning and talking together. So these, my live training part of this, I want everybody to be on with me having a conversation. So
Gotcha.
I used to teach at a university, marketing, and I just really like the conversational part of that. So talk to me, talk to each other, bounce ideas off each other, be like, hey, I think this is stupid. What do you think? And they'll be like, no, it's a great idea. You had a similar group like that last year that I was in. It really blessed me. So I love that format.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I remember you saying that about my program. Oh, you just want to do like different cohorts. And I was like, okay. But I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, that sounds great. What is it?
We'll do whatever you say we should do.
That's so funny. Yeah. Maybe I should use a more people-friendly word, huh?
Well, I mean, I didn't really understand, but I'm sure more people do. But now it's cleared up. So
yeah, you're right.
I could have easily Googled it. It's
too much effort. It's too much work. That's actually my number one thing in marketing and helping people optimize their websites is like, just make it clear. Yeah. Like, say the words that people understand.
Yeah. So what have you embraced this new chat GPT AI stuff? And what's that doing for business creators?
That's such a good question. I have mixed feelings about it. So I've used it. It's pretty good. I will say it's pretty good. But it's still a robot. Mm-hmm. So there are things where it's not quite right. It's a good starting point. What I would hate to see is people relying on it for their whole business. But I think getting you a jumping off point, like I love and use a lot of systems that automate my calendar, my invoices, like all of those things, please, like AI me all the way. But when it comes to actually talking to people conversationally, I kind of draw the line. Also, I'm a little bit scared of Microsoft's AI because it wants to apparently kill everyone. Have you heard about this?
No.
It talks back. It talks back to people when they're seeking help. And it's like, well, I'm not wrong. You're wrong because you searched for the wrong words. And so I gave you the wrong answer because it was the wrong words. But my answer was correct and you're stupid. And you should probably go, like one time suggested suicide to someone. So I think they're working on that, but it scares me. So the other side of that though, and because I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, ChatGPT is very smart. Like it is. It's very smart.
Yeah.
You can put in 10 keywords and get a whole blog post. But people like me tend to get put out of a job by robots then. But it's good to proofread it. It's good to still have someone get a second set of eyes on it and be like, okay, well, that sounds weird. Seems bizarre that you would put it that way. That is not what I was asking for.
That is my biggest concern for newer people, right? Learning their marketing voice and learning their message is if you're solely relying on these AI services to create content for you, you're losing your voice. Like you're literally choosing to have a robot speak over you.
Yeah.
So just take that with discernment because I love it. It's kind of, I'm using it more as like a Google search bar, like when I was writing my book and I'd be like, okay, what's another word for blah, blah, blah. Or, you know what I mean? Like it helped me process things, but I didn't take what it gave me and just take it and put it over here in this area. I chewed on it. I found what I wanted and then I spit out what I wanted and like let the rest go away.
Yes, I think that's the best way to do it because especially, I'm glad you brought that up. If you're learning your voice online or in person, no one knows you better than you know yourself. And it may be very difficult to translate that through a robot's understanding of what a person should sound like. Yeah. So definitely use it as a jumping off point or to help you get started, but then make it your own or add your own thoughts about it.
That's right.
Because one thing that I haven't seen AI do very well yet is share like an opinion. And that's kind of what makes us human is not just, these are the facts. This is what the facts are, but how do you feel about those facts? How are you interpreting them? That's, I think, where we find our voice more.
Right. And, I've heard that now people are, putting thoughts and stuff like that into these AI services and getting whole ebooks made. Like, once again, you are preventing your voice from being heard. Like that's not your voice. And this is what my TED talks about, but we are under the most incredible identity crisis that our world has ever seen. Yeah. And it's things like this that we're choosing for like efficiency's sake that are taking away who we are and our own authenticity.
And I think it's even not just efficiency, but insecurity, because I can be like, well, if I don't know if I'm right, but Google says I'm right, I must be right. So
what Google says.
Yeah, exactly. I used to be notorious. Like it was so bad. I would Google everything. Yeah. But I think we kind of are doing that with AI. Like I kind of think this, but I don't know if I'm right to say it that way. Let me drop my 5 terms into ChatGPT and see what they say. Oh, they agree with me. Okay, I must be right.
I'm right. Right. And we stop learning to trust ourselves. And it's like when you're in situations like you have been, where you're trying to fully understand and differentiate your voice versus the Holy Spirit's voice and making sure that they are one and united. And, we have willingly brought in things to lessen our own voice. Like, again, no wonder we are in an identity crisis.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even to that point, you talked about this last week or the last one I edited, I think in your podcast was you find your identity when you find yourself in Christ.
That's right.
Like sitting with the Holy Spirit, meditating on his love. That's so much better. Like I would even say, submit what you want to put into ChatGPT to Jesus. Hey, Lord, I want to talk to people about this thing. So can you help me, help me say this to people who really need to hear it? How do I say this?
Mhm.
And then I think it would be a good combination. He might tell you to put something into ChatGPT, like, girl, you are not getting it. Start with the robot and then bring it back.
Bring it back to me. That's like when I first went to my editor, she was like, "You're not ready for me." And I was like, "Oh,
Right.
okay."
Yes. And it's good to know, that's why we need other people and the Holy Spirit around us, because there may be times where, if I just said, I want to have a business called The Mobile Creative. Okay, Ellie, what do you do? Well, I'm mobile and
Right.
also
And I'm
creative. That's not enough.
Right. It's like, yes. And I had a mentor one time. It was like, it's cute, but it's not going to create cash flow.
Right.
Right. Because you're not clear. And when people are not clear, they do not buy.
Right. Exactly. It's confusing. Like, what am I supposed to do with what you're saying? Who actually knows? And that's something that, to plug your services, to be honest, you coach people on all the time, like knowing who they are, what they're bringing to the table, how to share it with people, and even how to manage their time while they're doing it. Right. All of these things, you're like a life and business coach. And it's amazing because so many of us have a great idea, but don't know how to make that happen. And that's why I do what I do too, because I love your great idea. Let's actually make it a business. Let's actually create a system. And that's something God's gifted us in, because that's how he works too,
Right. Well, I think too, part of his provision has been like putting people like us together. There are things that we are only going to be able to receive as blessing and favor from him through someone else.
Right. Yeah, that's something I've been learning a lot about, again, as I've been traveling the world. There are times where you have to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I never did it. I just never asked for help. I could be lost in the biggest mall in the world and be like, I'll find it.
You'll find it.
I'll find it. It's okay.
Google, where am I? Yeah.
So I think that, it's just a balance. For me, it's been a balance of humility. Like, when I'm in trouble, normally I'd be like, I'll figure it out myself. Or if I'm having a good day, maybe I'll just celebrate it alone. But embracing the community that God's given you professionally and personally not only provides more resources, but it gives you more joy in life too. Yeah. Like, it's so much more fun to enjoy a good experience when you're with other people. And it's so much easier to deal with something bad when you have a support system.
So true. And as entrepreneurs, you go through all of those, the good and the bad. And to have somebody like you and what you're creating come alongside, like, that is, it's essential. It's essential to get your business where you want to go.
Yes. And so here's my sneaky thing that I haven't been advertising but fully plan to do, is really helping people tap into their calling when they're going through this cohort with me. Like, we're not just talking about how to market it. We're talking about the purpose behind it. Like, why are you called to this in a good way? Not like you should probably not do it, but like, tell me why, so that you can reach the people who you're called to. It's so important to have that extra voice pulling that out of you. I need that in my own life. And so having people like you and me to pull that out of other people, it just makes you more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, what I'm doing right now in my business and personally in my life is understanding, because, the past couple of years since 2020, I was teaching marketing for Tony Robbins, and, and I was so in that sphere, and my voice became that, like, that's how I thought. And God's showing me now, you're a messenger first and a marketer second. And it's like, so good. It's been big. And accepting that I don't fit in a box. Don't put me in a box. God doesn't fit in a box, and so for these new entrepreneurs coming along, get that now, like, and be working with someone like Ellie to where that is the intention, is to pull out the message that you have to give to this world. It's not to say, even though you'll have templates and scripts and all of that stuff to help guide people along, it's not the ride. You're the guide, you're going to help them, but your main purpose is to bring out their message of like what God is wanting to give to the world through them.
Yeah. Yes. I couldn't say it any better. That's so true, because our businesses as Christian entrepreneurs, it's never just to make money. It's never just because we have a brilliant thing that we offer. It's to reach people. Yeah. Like it's a hook that maybe pays our bills, but really it's a hook for the kingdom, because the people that I connect with through my business, I wouldn't meet otherwise. Right. And then, they bless me, like Julianne blesses me every time we work together, every podcast I edit, every conversation or funny text message. And then I pray I bless her too, and it's just like, there's so much more than just a business. It's not just a business idea. Yeah. It's a whole godly plan for your life.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, I'm excited for you. And I'm excited for the people that are going to join and just to have this evolution happen. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, I'm excited too. Like, I'm excited to meet them and see what happens with their businesses. I believe people will be able to leverage this to start making money the first week we're there together. It is not something you have to hurry up and wait on. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can visit my website, mynewcreative.com. They can email me, hello@mynewcreative.com. Or they can find me on social media at The Mobile Creative. Awesome. And if you can't find any of that, find me, Ellie Marie Turk, and I'll help you out.
Well, and Ellie will put those links in the chat.
I sure will. In the description. Yes.
They'll be right there in the show notes, people.
Yes.
Amazing. That's so good. All right. We're going to have to do speed round. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I love these.
Okay. Now I got to change up the questions on the fly because you're used to the questions.
I know them. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay. All right.
It leads to speed round for Julianne.
I know. It's like, wow. All right. I got to think on the fly here. Okay. What type of vegetable do you like most?
Oh, that's a good one. I think that my favorite vegetable, this could be controversial, is a pickle. I love pickles. It's a pickled vegetable, so I think it counts.
I love pickles as well. It was funny when you were saying it's going to be controversial. I was thinking, oh, she's going to say like tomato because people are going to be like, no, that's a fruit.
I do love a good tomato. No, Julianne's whole family loves pickles. I visited them for a while once. I had two of their pickle spears and it became a whole thing because I thought the kids ate them all and they were like, who ate the pickles? It was me.
It was Ellie. We all love the pickle. I mean, we have all kinds of pickles.
It's true.
We have all the pickle. The pickles. And there was a pickle shortage. This past summer? I don't know.
What? I missed that.
Shortage. Because of, the pandemic and some kind of glass jar can be made, whatever. Excuses. Oh, give me my pickles, people. Like, I am fine with other stuff. I don't need toilet paper. Give me my pickles.
I'll figure the rest of it out.
I need the pickles. That's funny. Okay. What has been your favorite moment during this travel time?
Yeah. Okay. So I was in a car. Okay. I was in a car driving to somewhere and I looked out the window and it hit me. I'm seeing all of the places that I dreamed about as a little girl, pouring over National Geographic. I had some health problems. So I was in a doctor's office every week and I read the National Geographics and I dreamed about these other places. And now I'm here. That's so cool. It was just that moment, I think, for me was everything.
God is so good.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And you're still, it's not like you retired and now this is what, you're in it.
I'm just living my life.
Living our life on the go.
Yeah.
Mobile.
Exactly.
That's so awesome. All right. What is one piece of advice that you would tell the woman who is starting that entrepreneur journey and feels a bit unsure about all the things that are changing with Instagram and Facebook and, this new AI stuff?
Yeah, I would say, remember why you said yes, and then let that message shine through everything that you do. Some platforms may not be for you, but your message is for specific people. So just keep talking about it. They'll find you.
That's so true. And I think too, we think that we've said it and then it's done.
Yes.
We've heard so many other people say it that nobody's going to hear it from us. And that's just not true. There's some people that will only hear your voice.
Yes. Yes. And they may not hear it until you say it for the 30th time. So don't do a one and done on your business, baby. Like, let's keep going.
Right. Keep going. Keep going. Yes. I love it. Awesome. Ellie, thank you so much for being with us. What time is it right now for you?
For me, it is 6:00 in the evening.
6:00 in the evening. Wow. Nice. Do you have dinner plans? Where are you going for dinner? What's for dinner?
I think I'm actually going to just walk to a market and pick up some groceries to make for dinner today. So something simple, something chill, not trying to work too hard on anything, but haven't gotten my feet into the land yet enough to know where to go. So I might just go tonight.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. That's all I have for you today, my friends. Bye for now.